Oh, it's 5 o'clock, so I'm going to call the meeting to order. Madam Secretary, would you call the roll, please?
There we go. Rachel Anger is here. Cindy Bird,
Here.
Kathy Calhoun is trying to get on.
Yeah, she's trying to get on.
John Kalila is not on. Kenny Curley,
Here.
Pam Delabar.
Here.
What time is it, Pam?
It is 3:02 in the morning.
Yay, party. Kathy Dunham,
Here.
George Eigenhauser,
Here.
Yukiko Hayata,
Here.
Carol Krasnowski,
Here.
Rich Maston,
Here.
Steve McCullough,
Here.
Melanie Morgan,
Here.
Brian Moser,
Here.
Pam Moser,
Here.
Sharon Roy. We're waiting for Sharon. Howard.
Okay, wait a
Webster.
minute. Sharon, wait.
Howard Webster is not on the call. Is that correct? Daryl Newkirk,
Here.
Eileen Tartaglia,
Here.
Shelley Perkins,
Here.
James Simbro,
Here.
Eva Chen,
Here.
Gavin Cow,
Here. Yeah, here.
and Matt Wong. Is Matt on the call? So we'll circle back. Is John Kalila on the call? What about Kathy Calhoun or Sharon Roy?
I see. Sharon, I see on, but she's
I think-
muted.
Oh, she is? Okay, I will
Well,
acknowledge that
It
Sharon is,
says Sharon.
yeah. Okay, so I will turn it back to you, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you, Rachel. Okay, so everybody got a copy pre-noticed of the agenda, and I think we have some additions. Is that correct, Rachel?
Yes, we have one judging program item to run past the board for their consideration. If they want to make a motion, that's fine. And then we have a new item about the Japan Regional Show that will come up under new business.
Okay, so we have 2 additions. Okay.
Those are
Yeah.
the only changes I'm aware of, only
Okay.
additions I'm aware of.
Okay, thank you for the additions. Any other changes or additions to the agenda? Okay, hearing no other additions, our agenda will become our orders of business. Without objection. Rachel, you're up next.
Hi, I'm back on and I can see everybody. But I don't know why.
Is someone talking?
That's Kathy Calhoun.
Oh, hi, Kathy. If we can get the screen to scroll down so we can see the motions that we need to, here's our orders of the day. Motions that we need to ratify. I believe there's just the one. I'll change that number so it doesn't say 3. So I'll restate that motion so that we can vote it into ratification. That the portions of the board discussions at the December 1st, 2020 meeting relating to the cancellation, renegotiation, or other aspects of the contract with the Western Galleria Hotel 4. And the next page will go on to say something like the June 2021 annual in Houston, Texas, be moved to executive session. I'm not reading that verbatim.
Can we
but-
scroll it up, Eileen? There we go.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to get Kathy Calhoun in.
Okay, all right. We'll go back down now a little bit because you're up too high. There you go. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So that motion was made by George Eidinghauser and seconded by Rachel Anger. Is there any discussion on this before we call for the vote? Brian, Pam, you voted against it. Do you have any comments you want to make?
No.
Nope.
Okay. All right. Is there any objection to the motion? Okay. Hearing no objection, the motion is ratified by unanimous consent.
Thank you. That having been said, I'd like to now move that we adopt the December 2020 teleconference minutes as presented.
Okay. I need a second.
Orchel,
Sec-
second.
Delabar.
Okay. Pam, you were in last, but you came in the clearest, so I'll take Pam second. Any objections to the printed minutes from the December board meeting? Okay, hearing no objection, the minutes are ratified as been pre-noticed.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. Any other online or minute issues, Rachel?
No, thank
Okay,
you.
we'll move on to order number 3, which is the judging program.
Right, and as liaison, I'm going to turn this right over to whoever report comes up first, which would be Ellen Honey.
Okay, let me bring Ellen in.
You might as well bring Vicky in at the same time. And
All right.
and Ann, I think.
Okay.
So Ellen, are you in yet?
Yeah,
Okay.
it looks like I'm in.
Yes, okay, go ahead, Ellen.
All right, I've got a fairly short report this time. We were charged, the JPC was charged with looking for possibilities of finding substitutes during this time for color class training. And we had a meeting of the chairs, and it was determined with extensive discussions that there is no substitute for these classes. Several types of online training was discussed, but all the JPC committee felt that since we have reduced the color classes to a minimum of 6, the opportunity to have one-on-one teaching should not be reduced any further. There is little opportunity for training to begin judging at the current time, so there's no rush to complete the color classes. Hopefully the availability of the new vaccines, which are in people's arms as we speak, maybe not any of us, but they are being administered, that will help to ease the restrictions in the future, and we can once again allow classes to resume. In the meantime, the 2 trainees have been encouraged to continue working on the standards, review brief presentations, and so forth. Now, this morning, I had a meeting with the trainees and our file handlers for those trainees. And I challenged them, since we didn't come up with anything, I challenged them to see if they would come up with something that the board might be interested in. One they brought up was using telephones between the judge and the trainee, which we talked about it extensively and said, no, even though you may announce it, it gives an appearance of impropriety between, judge, who we don't know who's talking on the phone, and we do not need any kind of appearance of impropriety, especially when we're using trainees to work with the classes. This morning, I got 2 other proposals, which are not ready yet to be presented, but one of them could possibly be promising. And that is to use the type of headgear that, say, the Secret Service uses, with the in-ear earpiece that can translate. One of our trainees found them for like $30. I explained that CFA would not be paying for that if we decided, but I want to flesh that out more. So I'll bring it back in February, and also in February, I want to see where we are and see if we can't allow one-on-one training depending on vaccine availability and so forth. The other one had to do with being vaccinated for COVID, and if you have had both shots, that you should be able to train. The problem with that is it could be discriminatory if someone did not want to take the vaccines. So I think that is a problem. Other than that, that's sort of where we are. If anybody has any comments about that, I'm putting the final touches on the alternative application program and clarifying a policy on how to market judges, because I think I said last time there was a little confusion. We fixed that now. And that's it for now.
Okay, any board members have questions for Ellen, since the board is who directed her to research this? Okay, thank you, Ellen. I don't see any hands going up. Alan, you want to scroll up and we'll get to the next. Okay, Vicky, looks like it's you.
It is. In light of the current situation with the pandemic and CFA shows continuing to occur, the judging program worked with Cindy Bird and legal committee along with Marilee Griswold to develop a return to work after a COVID exposure or COVID illness for the judges. It's very important because the judges are going to be in closer proximity than 6 feet to everyone. And if there is any sort of danger, we want to make sure that the judging program has done all they can to protect the exhibitors and the show producing clubs. The attachment, I think it's in the body. Yeah, it's in the body of the minutes. Marilee, as our medical representative, along with Cindy, helped develop this. They would need to have a negative test and be signed off by a physician. And of course, it's all on the honor system, whether someone speaks up and lets the judging program know they've had COVID, and whether they've had, it's possible that they've had it and they've been asymptomatic and they don't even know. So this is based on the fact that someone has notified us, and a judge, that they have had a positive COVID test and that they are no longer symptomatic and they've had a negative test.
Okay, so your action item is to accept this document.
Yes, it would be an addendum in addition to their regular return to the judging table.
Okay. Okay, Rachel, I'm assuming you're making the standing motion. Yes, okay, I need a second.
Delabar seconds.
Okay, Carol Krasnowski second that. Is there any discussion?
This is Kathy. I can't figure out how to raise my hand at the moment, but I
Okay.
just had a couple questions.
Sure.
Okay, so it says that there's a 10-day waiting period. Is that based on the new guidelines? Because I mean, a lot of corporations are still maintaining the 14-day wait period. That's like in the third section there.
I think the CDC changed those guidelines, Kathy.
I think that they did too, but that doesn't mean that everybody's adopting them. There's
Okay.
still a lot of businesses and that are still holding to 14 days.
Marilee Griswold, I think she might be on the line if we want to bring her in
Okay.
to be our
Alan, can you promote Marilee so she can discuss that?
I don't see Marilee here. She was here before, but she's dropped off.
And let me ask the other question. Actually, it was a little bit earlier in the document here. It says that the judge is saying, I've had no fever for at least 24 hours. That 24 hours before what? Before travel? Before the first day of the show? 24 hours before? What, what's the time frame there?
Unless we have Marilee on the phone, I can't speak to this. This was developed by Cindy and Marilee, so
Okay.
Cindy's
I
here.
read. So Cindy, maybe Cindy is.
Cindy's
Cindy-
got her hand up. Let Cindy weigh in on that.
It is, what it means is you had a fever and you are at least 24 hours away from having a fever, not 24 hours before the show or 24 hours. It's 24 hours without fever.
Okay, Rich Maston, you have your hand up.
Yeah, so I have a couple things. One is similar to what Kathy just brought up on the 10 days. I know New York State, Monroe County in New York State requires 14 days before release back to work. So that could be a little bit of a sticking point. The other question or concern that may come about is obtaining a release from a physician may not be as easy as we seem to think it might be. And a lot of the state and county health departments no longer require negative reports. What they do is they do daily checkups, at least some of them do daily checkups with the individual. And then once they determine there are no more symptoms, the county and the state will send a notification that they are released from quarantine and can report back to work and do their activities based on state and county restrictions. So you may want to consider an option to accept county and state authorization for release and not just a physician statement.
Okay, Kathy,
Yes.
you got more?
No, those were my two.
Okay.
Cindy, are you able to shed some light on any discussion that was held between you and Marilee regarding the 10 versus 14 days and how to get a physician's signature if they're not actually seeing a physician?
We discussed the 10 and 14 days, and that was something of discussion. We went with what was current on the CDC website. And of course, that changes all the time. So we may want to consider 14 days or, whatever's current. We may also want to add, as Rich suggested, county or state, everybody's different. So we may want to add that sort of thing. The other, whether or not someone can see a physician, we did not discuss.
Well, most people can see your physician by teleconference. I mean, one of my endocrinologist, I go to her office, but my primary doctor, I did a phone interview with. So I think they should be able to get a release from their primary physician. So does anybody want to make some changes to this? How well shall we proceed?
This is Steve.
Go ahead, Steve.
Out here where I live, we don't have a physician. We have a PA and we have a nurse practitioner that do telemedicine. Are they weighed in as being the physician, or are they like or other practitioner on here?
Well, it says physician.
Okay, because they're the ones who would be that treat us, but a physician's like an hour and a half away that you'd have to be a new patient and do all that to get this signed.
Yeah.
So they just need to be put on their healthcare provider, I
Okay.
think. Thanks.
Rich, your hand's up.
Yeah, I would encourage the group to include what Steve just talked about, if physician's not available, but also the state and county authorization. I don't think you want to be so restrictive that prevents judges from getting the proper approvals within a certain amount of time. So the harder we make it, it may be very difficult for them to get the releases.
Okay. So do you want to add, like under physician signature, you could put physician slash authorized agent signature?
If Cindy accepts that, sure. If that's acceptable to Cindy.
That works for Cindy.
Okay.
Then
All
I'll
right.
make that amendment.
Okay. I need a second.
Rachel seconds, reserving the right to vote no, and I have a comment on that.
Okay. Go ahead, Rachel.
Unless we define what that term means, I can't support that, because their designated agent could be their receptionist. So I would like, if we define it, like including but not limited to all those different people that were just named by Rich and Steve and what have you. If we can agree on what the designated agent is, I could support that.
So can I withdraw my amendment?
Sure.
Okay.
All
Then I
right.
withdraw my amendment.
Okay. George Eigenhauser.
How about the term licensed healthcare professional?
That would work.
Because agent does have a lot of meanings in the law.
Okay. All right.
But somebody licensed by the government to do healthcare ought to give us cover.
Okay. Cindy, are you okay with that?
We want licensed healthcare professional, licensed healthcare provider. Does it matter?
Providers are sometimes companies. I think professional is a person.
Yeah.
I
And
got it.
You're striking out physician and inserting that. Is that correct,
That's how I understand it.
George?
That's what I was suggesting, yes.
Okay. All right. Is there a second to that?
Rich will
Steve,
second.
Okay, Rich. Is there any discussion? Rachel, your hand's up.
My hand was up to suggest we table this till Mary Lee gets on, but we're going down the road now,
Okay.
so.
Okay.
Marilee is in. I just added her in.
Good deal. Hi, Mary Lee. How are you? You there,
Marilee, she needs to unmute.
Okay.
While we are doing that, Daryl,
Yep.
can we also in this amendment, can we circle back to the 10 days?
Yeah, I wanted, that's what, as soon as Mary Lee gets in, I want her to address that. And then we will take care of both things. Who can sign it and how many days?
And I hate to interrupt on this, but Aline, I think because of how I had to enter, that's why I'm not able to raise my hand. Remember we had that problem once before?
Okay, you're not co-host. I removed that.
Okay.
So you should be able to raise your
Now I
hand.
probably can. All right.
Okay, Mary Lee, are you in now?
Marilee says it tells her she can't unmute.
Okay.
She appears unmuted.
There she is. Okay. That's okay. All right. I don't see where Mary. Oh, here she is. She's way down here. Okay. All right.
Somebody unmute her.
Okay.
Yeah, we can't unmute her. All we can do is ask her to unmute herself.
Yeah.
Okay, she's
What'd she say?
unmuted.
All right.
She's
Oh,
unmuted.
all right.
Okay.
She said, all right.
Are you in, Mary Lee? We're not hearing you, Mary Lee, if you're talking.
Mm.
Mary Lee, so
Aline,
maybe Mary Lee, can you sign out and call back in? Because your speaker's not working.
Aline, can you double check that this is recording?
It is.
It
says
is recording.
it is.
Okay, because it's given me the option to click on record, which means I'm probably a host somehow in the system. I don't know.
I can make you host or I can make you co-host, which would tell me that you're neither. So I'm
Yeah, I shouldn't have the option to record. I don't think. If I'm not a host. Anyway,
Yeah.
I'll just raise my hand physically. It's okay.
Okay, why don't we just instead of just sitting here waiting, let's get this ironed out and then we'll come back to it.
Okay.
Okay, so since we're having audio issues here, what's the next thing on the agenda, Rachel?
It's still Vicky, and it's regarding Chloe Chung has requested a medical leave of absence from
Okay,
December 30th through January 29th, 2021.
okay,
And Rachel has added an action item to grant Chloe the medical leave of absence.
okay, Rachel, standing motion.
I will make that standing motion, but I have a question about what we're doing. Well, I'm unclear why we're giving someone a medical leave for less than a month. Can't she just decline accepting assignments during that time?
She could, but we felt since China is dependent upon having a CFA judge at the shows when the associate judges are working, and that there are only 3 of those in existence, that with Chloe being not available, that it should be documented.
I see. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, I need a second.
Any seconds?
Thank you, Kenny. Is there any discussion? Okay, is there any objection to granting Chloe Chung a medical leave of absence from December 30th, 2020 through January 29th, 2021? Okay, hearing no objections, the motion is approved by unanimous consent. Okay,
Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yes,
yes,
it's Mary Lee.
Oh,
Okay.
yay, for heaven's sakes.
fantastic. Okay, Aline, let's scroll back up. Merle, we got a couple of questions. One is about 10 days versus 14 days. And the second one is about who can sign off on it. Because Steve made a comment that certain areas may not have a physician, they may have a PA or a nurse practitioner, and not
Yes, and
accessible.
yes, I talked to Ellen about this, and I think she was okay with a nurse practitioner, any kind of licensed primary care provider.
Okay,
So I mean, we can make some changes.
well,
to that.
we had a motion to strike out physician.
Either MD.
Go ahead.
Yes. Oh, and then put something like so, and those would be nurse practitioners, PAs. A lot of times PAs are doing these things.
Yeah.
But and Ellen and I talked about this too. Like in my facility, this kind of medical sign off has become completely routine now.
Okay.
So a lot of people having signs and symptoms of like a cold are coming in and requiring that they have, the sign off from the medical professional that they don't have COVID. So, and this has become so routine, it's kind of a routine form on our website. And I don't think this would be too difficult, because I also know that things like doctor's care and those minute clinics are doing similar type forms. So it's not like I have to wait for 3 months to get in to see my doctor to get a form signed like
Okay.
this. So that was my discussion with Ellen before when we were talking about this. But obviously I wasn't here for the first part of the discussion of the concerns. If you're out in the boonies, but still, I would think, you have to have a primary care doctor somewhere.
Yeah.
That's going to give you, if you're going to have, so for all judges, if we have issues medically related, we're going to have somebody sign off anyway. So this is just an additional thing that we would ask for someone who has had COVID.
So are you okay if we put physician / authorized healthcare provider behind all the physician requirements there?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm kind of a rarity in my clinic where I'm an actual physician, and most of them are nurse practitioners or physician assistants. So yeah.
Okay. Okay, so we would have to amend by adding after physician certification, a slash authorized healthcare provider.
Right.
And then under physician signature, we would have to add slash authorized healthcare provider. And then we would need print physicians slash healthcare provider's name. And once signed by the physician slash healthcare provider, it'd be returned to Vicky Nye. Does that satisfy you, George?
That's my motion now.
Okay, and a second?
Steve will second.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Is there any discussion or other questions for Mary Lee on this portion of the document? Okay, is there any objection to the amendment that we've made to the form? Okay, hearing no objections by unanimous consent, the form is amended as stated. Now, we need to go back up to the 10 days. There's some question about that, Mary Lee.
Okay.
Some people, Rich said that in his area, it's 14 days.
Yeah, I mean, if we want to make this universal, I suppose it should be 14 days. You know, people are using 10 days in some areas. So, but universally, if we're kind of a universal organization. So if we wanted to make it universal, we should probably do 14 days.
Okay, so then we would need to change at least 10 days have passed since my fever and or respiratory symptoms begin. Strike 10 and insert 14. Will that cover everything?
Comfortable
I
with
think
that?
so.
Or
Yeah.
not?
Mhm.
Kathy,
Yeah.
you comfortable? Rich, you comfortable?
Yes.
Pam Delabar, is your hand up?
I just took it down. I was just going to
Okay.
say, in our areas here, it's 12 days, but
Okay.
14 should be fine.
Okay, all right. I need somebody to make the motion to amend the 10 to 14.
I
George
so
will
moved.
make the motion.
Thank you, George. Who seconded?
Kathy,
Steve,
Kathy Calhoun?
yes,
Okay. All right, thank you, Kathy. Is there any discussion on amending 10 days to 14 days? Is there any objection to the amendment? Hearing no objection by unanimous consent, 10 days is now changed to 14 days. Are there any other comments on this certification? Rachel, your hand's up.
Thank you. Can we scroll back up and see the main motion? Uh-oh. So, okay, I would like to add effective immediately.
Okay,
Are we on the main motion?
yes. You're making it.
Okay.
We've already amended it, so we need to put in here to make it effective immediately and that we're passing it as amended.
Okay. What's the term of the use of the form? Or is it just going to be until we decide not to and make another motion?
It'll be in effect until COVID's been disposed of.
Right. Okay. So
Okay. All right.
good. Thank you.
I need a second to the
Kenny
action item.
seconds.
Thank you,
Kenny.
Kenny. All right. Any further discussion on this? I think we beat this one pretty good. Okay. Nobody's hands up. Is there any objection to Rachel's motion, making this effective immediately and passing the amended motion? Two parts of it that we changed. Okay. Hearing no objection by unanimous consent, the form is ratified and the action item is approved. Okay, next.
That's all for me now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vicky. We appreciate your
Sure.
work. Thank you, Mary Lee.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Ann
Guys.
Mathis. Yep, Ann Mathis, you're up.
Okay, Happy New Year, everyone, and may 2021 be better than 2020.
Yes.
I'm most of you were on the board when the last associate proposal was put through. 10 Chinese. I went through about 4 months of training on various things and are now judging in China. We're receiving, at the time I wrote this, I had not received many evaluations at all, but I am now have several sets and feel better. The videos that have been sent to me by Chloe and other people are showing that they're doing a nice job. We were contacted by, I believe Daryl was contacted first, by a representative of the Malaysia Cat Club asking if it was possible to begin training Malaysians to do the same thing that Chinese are in that area. We had a second meeting and it was discussed adding Thailand, Indonesia, and Singapore to Malaysia to try to get shows in that area up and running. So we have had several meetings to discuss the process. We are not going to come up with a list this time. We thought it was important that people be able to apply and show us their body of work and their interest in as much as anything in the interest of fairness. So the application is very similar to the judging application.
Ellen, can you scroll up, please? Thank you. There you go.
Okay. The application is very similar. We would give them a couple weeks to be getting that in, and in a perfect world, they could be behind the table in the beginning of the new show season. We didn't set a definite number. Obviously, it has to be equal short hair, long hair. That just makes everything easier. I kind of thought that a maximum of 20, less than that would probably be better. All of the coaches that worked with us last time are interested in continuing. Daryl wants to cut his participation back a bit, for which I hardly blame him. He has a couple other things to do. So I will find another coach to replace him. They would apply, and as in the China program, we're looking for the same types of people who are prominent in the fancy in their area, who have experience. We are going to require English this time. We do not plan to do translating in this training. It was necessary for China, but it took a whole lot longer. And there are a lot more breeds shown in this area of the world than there are in China. So we would do the training the same way. We do the online breed presentations, we do the BAOS topics, and then we do the handling. That's spelled out in the document that I believe you all have, and I can answer any questions. But our board action item is to request that we be able to begin this second phase. And I think we would call it, rather than what we would just call it, the associate judging program. This opens up, if this works out and we need to do another phase for another area of the world, certainly that is possible.
So Ann, can I give a little bit of background on what happened?
Yes, please do, because I wasn't part of that very first meeting.
Yeah, and actually, I think Sharon Roy was the first person that was contacted, and she might want to add in some information here. Basically, what they wanted an alternate program for judging, and they used Amir Sarif as the handler. And what they wanted to do was set up video cameras, and a licensed CFA judge would observe the cats that Amir was going to handle, and the judges could communicate directly, turn the cat this way, that way. The problem is that most of us that are judges don't want to give an award to a cat that we can't put our hand on. That's where the big problem is with what they wanted. This was an alternate process they presented to us. And so as we went through it, I said it might be better if we do an associate program for these areas. And it sort of evolved into using the China associate program, which they call the T1 team, as the template for because it worked very well, and we could use it in this area. But this time there would be an application process so that their body of work could be examined, as Ann talked about. So Sharon Roy, do you want to unmute yourself and you can add yours in here? Go ahead, Sharon.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, go ahead.
Yeah, as Daryl said, we watched them on video and they did a great job, but it became pretty obvious that it was not going to be a valid judging. He is very excited. He also said to me, and I think Daryl may have gotten the same email, that they expect it to be over a year before they're allowed to let anybody in their various countries in that whole area. So this is a way for them to get some judges. And they do have people like Alan Raymond and Doug Myers over there that can be your judge, you know, that's physically in the show hall. That's it.
I believe Thailand went back on lockdown, so I'm not,
Yeah.
Douglas and Alan can leave. In my proposal, I put recommended but not required to have a CFA judge in there for that exact reason. Certainly it is preferred if clubs could have a judge present.
Okay. Anybody have some comments or questions on this?
I do, Daryl.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Kathy.
So, in the section that talks about background, in the second paragraph, last sentence, it says a committee would review the applications and decide on the best candidates for the program. What is the committee? And then again, in program participants, in the first sentence, it says that individuals will be reviewed by a selection committee. Who are these committees?
I assumed it would be the coaches, and if everyone thought it should be more than that, we could certainly put other people on that committee. The applications would be submitted to me because I'm the chair, and then I would move those onward to the people that are in the committee.
So Kathy, are you asking if the board would have the approval to accept the judges, since that's part of our duty?
Yes.
Okay. And you okay with once you make the selections, presenting them to the board, sort of the like we were with the China associates, but no one.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, Melanie.
Hi, thank you. First of all, we need to make sure that that's clear, because the action item talks about the program as submitted. But going into this, looking at this in total, while I'm in theory fully supportive of this concept for obvious reasons, I think the proposal and the rollout to other areas is premature. The China Associate Program is still in its infancy, and we've already identified the fact that we're just now starting to get evaluations back in. And I think this program is too important for us to start to muddy the waters. I think that moving forward and breaking into new areas, et cetera, prematurely before we have sufficient data is asking for problems. And I hate to see that happen. So in addition, I understand, Dan, why the words preferred and recommended were put in for the CFA judges, but to me, those weren't optional requirements. That was really important. You needed to have at least one CFA representative there who could provide the support for the associates there to make sure that we maintain the integrity of our programs. And without the words required or putting in the words with the words preferred and recommended, I can't support this. I really can't.
Okay.
So, and then the other question I had is on your guidelines. They're not inclusive with all the grades, and I wondered if there was a reason for that.
I talked to a few people from the area and asked them what breeds were shown in that area. Those were the breeds that were given to me. The associates would have available to them all of the breed presentations so that they could review them. And it's the same as in China. If we suddenly have a breed pop in that wasn't there before, we plan to go over that with the associates.
Excellent.
Okay.
That's what I figured. Thank you.
Pam Delabar, you're recognized.
I like the program, and I just want to reiterate, we have asked for the same type of program for Europe. because we have seen what has happened with the various country lockdowns out of 43 countries. This is not an expensive program. And in Europe, we had a similar program when we started the international division here in Europe. We had the same type of program that was used in Japan when Japan started with CFA to get judges in Japan. We had the same program in Europe. I want that back, and this is the way for us to get it back. That's all.
Okay, thank you, Pam. Kenny Carly, you're recognized. Kenny, okay. Pam Mosier, you're recognized.
Thank you. I have a few comments. The reason we rolled this out in China was due to the revenue we receive and judges not being able to get into China. The program was designed so that China could hold shows during COVID. Furthermore, these applicants could only judge in China, and if they wanted to become a full-time judge, they would have to go back and submit a resume, just like any judge does to get into the program. This was due to the board picking these judges without seeing their qualifications. Now you want to extend this process to individuals in other parts of the world due to COVID. But by the time it will take you to train these applicants, we will have our vaccination shots and judges can travel more freely. You have also stated that these associates will then become available to convert into the judging program the same as a guest judge. My understanding is this was never the intent of this program. This is just taking a shortcut to become a CFA judge. What about all the judges in Japan and Europe that had to do it correctly? After all, if these judges want to become judges, they had every opportunity to do so much earlier. These applicants are not pre-noticed, so we are not giving people that know them, these applications, the ability to make comments on them. To be fair, if we are going to offer this to your selected countries, then this should be offered in the US and all other countries. I can't support it.
Thank you, Pam. Sharon Roy, your hand's up.
Hold on. Sorry, I just lowered it.
Okay. Pam Delbar, your hand's still up.
Sorry.
Okay. Kenny Carly, you had your hand up a couple of times. Did you want to make comments?
Back. I'm just worried about it appearing fair to people who want to get in the judging program and those who have already been through it. I hate to say it cheapens the program, and I understand why we did it in China, and I applaud the efforts and what they've done. But I think that like Pam said, this is we need to wait a little while for this. Let's get some more evaluations in and see how China goes along. Who knows? We may see some bumps in the road that need to be addressed. So, I'm not going to be able to support this.
Okay. Any other comments? Pam Delbar.
It's going to be easier in the other areas because you have a higher percentage of the exhibitor and breeder populations that speak English. So you don't have to worry about having a translator. It's going to be quicker. And at this time, the board would have the ability to choose who is going to go into the program.
Thank you, Pam. Rachel Anger, you're recognized.
Thank you. Without this program, how are we going to have shows over there? The numbers of Maine Coons that are registered from this area are enormous. These people are not going to be having a reason to continue to use our registration services if we don't provide them with shows at which they can show their CFA cats. I support doing this because it may not be perfect, but it's something. The other option is to just let this whole area of the world float away. They have other options over there. These people came to us because they love CFA. They want CFA shows. And once again, is it perfect? No, but this is something that we can provide them. We can get judges that are trained quickly in the ring and move on with our shows until we can get back over there.
And most of these people have judged fun shows, so it's not like they've got no experience behind the table. Pam Delabar, you recognized?
Thank you. There are judges of other associations over in Indonesia and Malaysia in particular, and that's FIFA. And then we've got WCF also in Thailand. We've got competition over there. And if we want to be able to address this competition and grow CFA even stronger, this gives us the ability to do so. Also, we have people in these areas who would be able to go into our normal judging program if we were able to give our normal judging program over there at this time. Right now, this fills in a need that we have to have that presence of CFA. It's not only that we are able to have some shows and to be able to have these judges. We have got to show these exhibitors and breeders of these other associations that CFA is here to stay. And we're going to do those things that we need to do to remain active in those countries.
Carol Krasinowski, you're recognized.
Yes, I support the program with the exception of the incentive section. I have to agree with what Pam Mosher said, that when we originally discussed the program for China, it was under the condition that those individuals would eventually, if they wanted to get into the judging program, they would apply in the normal manner. They wouldn't be given a fast track as a guest judge from another association would. But I do support the program. Other than that, I really think we need to do something in these areas to provide judges to work the shows. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think that I have asked Ellen and Ann to come up with a procedure for these people once the epidemic is over and we can get over there and do some hands-on training. There needs to be sort of a bridge program to give them some credit for the judging that they've done, but we can't just, rubber stamp a regular CFA license on them. Rich Maston?
Yeah, thank you. I have a number of things. First thing, is there going to be a motion presented on this? And if so, is this in order for the board to address the motion? Or are we just discussing it at this point in time? Because as I recall, nobody's made a motion and there's no second. So I'm just reminding the board of that. I remember sitting through a Zoom meeting or a conference call on this. And as I recall, the people in that meeting, it was maybe 4 or 6 weeks ago, I got the impression that there was a need for this. And I sense there still is a need based on what some others are saying. So I am supportive, but I'm concerned that if there is going to be a motion on this, are we prepared to pass everything that's in here? And if that is the case, then we need to make it clear that what was brought up earlier, and I don't remember who brought it up, maybe it was Kathy, that the list that's approved by the committee does get presented to the board for final approval. That's all I have.
Thanks. I think that this whole thing, and you can correct me if I'm in error, but this was being brought to the board's attention for them to proceed to go with this. And then there is no motion here. It would be brought up at the February meeting for final approval. That's my understanding. Ann?
That would be fine. And if you need some of these things tweaked, certainly that can be done in that time.
Thank you. Rachel Enger?
Thanks. Maybe we could scroll down to the end of the presentation. There was an action item to accept it. So if I have a standing motion, I'll withdraw that if that's the intent. But I really would like everyone to seriously consider how we're going to support those people over there. They've been very loyal to CFA. And my last thought is I cannot remember. Sorry.
Okay, Pam Mosier.
As it's written right now, I wouldn't be able to go along with it, especially the part about going right in, bringing them in as a guest judge. I think this needs to be the committee needs to rewrite some of these areas to make it more applicable to be accepted.
Okay, well, Rachel's withdrawn her standing motion. And if you, and I think Kathy and Melanie were the other ones that voiced concerns about that, then you send an email to Ann and tell her what parts of the program you think need to be changed. And then she can alter that procedure. Ann developed this program pretty much from scratch. Melanie gave her a basic draft of how to start it. Ann has developed this program and done a beautiful job. So, I mean, implementing this into another area of the country is going to be a breeze because she's already gone through it. She knows what to do. She knows how to do lessons plans because she's been a teacher all of her life. So, I mean, she's the perfect person to head something up like this. And I agree with Rachel. If we don't do something to help those people that have been loyal to CFA for all these years, then we'll lose them. Rich, your hand's up.
Yeah, I want to reiterate, I am supportive of this. I just want to make sure that we clean it up. And I want to thank Ann and Melanie for all the work that they've done on all these programs. I do have a question for Ann. In the first paragraph of the presented program, you're hoping to accept applications during the month of January. Will that then be on hold, or will you continue?
That would be on hold. We're not going to ask for applications until this is approved by the board. Then
okay, thank you, Ann.
The following meeting, we could then present the list of people that have applied. And Rachel also was instrumental in writing the China program. A lot of what I got was from her too. So she deserves some credit for the stuff I got in the beginning.
Okay, thank you, Ann. Rachel Anger, you're recognized.
Thank you. I remembered my last point, which was an important point. The materials Ann was provided with as a basis from the China program included those issues about these judges coming in under the guest judge program. I think we have that in place for the China associate judges, but that's something that we can check in. If indeed we do, and we do not choose to do that in this case, then, that would be something to look at too. But I just wanted to say that was in the China associate program. If it got in the final draft, I cannot confirm right now, but that's where that came from. It wasn't just pulled out of thin air. Thank you.
It's in what I received, but when we realized that particularly these China associate judges, they could judge 20 or 30 shows by the time we can go there again. And we need some sort of bridge program, not an automatic into the judging program, because they weren't educated on all the breeds, at least. But there needs to be some sort of bridge, depending on the amount of experience they've gotten already.
Great, thank you, Ann. Rich?
Yeah, one last comment on this. I believe this is the second time we've heard from Pam Delabar suggesting that we do something similar in Europe. And I would encourage Pam to work with Ann and present something to us in February so we can look at that at that time as well.
Thank you, Rich.
Okay. All right, Ann, we look forward to you whipping this into some great prose, and we'll read it in February.
All right, thank you for listening.
Anything else on the judging program, Rachel?
Not in open session.
Okay, thank you. Let's move on to business order number 4, central office.
Okay, I don't really have much to report that's not already in the report, just indicating that those split season kittens, those 3 kittens, it has been resolved as far as getting their them their title, letting them know what was happening. And also, I just wanted to confirm the point minimums for regional win for this year. We passed these in November, and it just, there's been other discussion. Just want to be sure that we're still okay with this and that the in-region requirement is waived for the season. And then the only other item I have is one that we'll need to discuss in the executive session because it does involve a contract.
Okay.
And that's it.
All right. Rachel, I don't know if you can check the minutes real quick to confirm those point minimums are correct for Aline.
I checked them at the time, but I can double check them now.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay.
And just come back so she can get a confirmation. Okay, we're at order number 5. Rich Maston, you're up.
Thank you. Yes, the committee has presented this report to the board for review. We do have an action item on here, and the committee is recommending that we take action on not having an international show in 2021 and start planning and contracting for 2022. That is my motion.
Okay, I need a second.
Carol.
Who?
Carol.
Carol Krasnowski. Okay, as a second. All right. Is there any
I would like
discussion?
to add some points, Daryl, please.
Yep. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I want to address Pam's questions from the December meeting. She had 2 questions that she had asked. One was, what would the judging slate be? And Pam, the judging slate has already been selected. The judges that were chosen for 2020 will continue as the judging slate for any future show, the next future show, international show. As far as, and you didn't ask this question, as far as the format, the committee will present a format to the board, and then the board usually makes the final determination of what the format is based on the committee's recommendation. The second question you had, Pam, was the location. At present time, we do have 2 locations that are available. One location is only available for 2021, not available for 2022. And that's important to know because we do look for locations that are available multiple years out so we can grow the gate and the participation. The other location that's available has not returned our call, and we've reached out to them a couple times, and that location we've been to in the past, we don't know if they have not returned our calls due to work furloughs, or it's due to holidays or possible illnesses. We are concerned about locations because locations are limited, and one of the locations would be fairly new for the international show, and the initial pricing is extremely high. It's as high as where we were in Cleveland. The hotel rate is probably going to be higher. We do have a fair amount of concerns in hosting a show in October of 2021 for a number of reasons. We understand that the vaccine will and is available. We have concerns at what rate the population will be covered by the vaccines. That could have an impact on attendance. Personally, in my opinion, I feel it's a very irresponsible position on the board to hold a show 9 months from now. I think there's too many unknowns, and there's going to be an extreme number of obstacles that we have to get through. I think financially, we're putting the CFA at risk. Potential losses could be as great as 50 to 100,000 or greater. There's health of all attendees. That is a concern. There is the short notice and time that's required by the volunteers in central office to pull this off. Negotiating a contract with short term doesn't normally work in our favor. When we have a little bit more time, it is helpful. The impact that this one show could have on scoring for awards, be it regional or national, could be of great concern, especially if the number of shows are limited next year. Let's see. If we do it this year and we don't do it well, it could look poorly on CFA. This is CFA's big event, and we need to do it right. We do not need to do it halfway. We do not have a sponsor, and we do not anticipate we will have a sponsor due to the COVID-related financial issues that is impacting many businesses. The gate, as we all know, has the potential to be very low, depending on what is allowed at that time and who feels comfortable going. One of the things that we came across in the contract was extra fees on COVID control for social distancing and pipe and drape and things of that nature. Extra fees for extra cleaning for certain times of the day. So there's a lot of things that we're up against, and I don't think it's in CFA's best interest to proceed with this show for 2021. And I would encourage everybody to, let's do it right, not do one in 2021, and let's do a nice big event in 2022 when things are semi-normal or hopefully back to normal.
Okay, any other comments? Questions? Okay, looks like you convinced everybody, Rich. Any objections to Rich's action item, which is cancel the 2021 CFA International Show and start the planning phases and contracting for the 2022 show?
Do we have a second?
I believe Carol seconded it.
Yeah, Carol did. That's correct.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, any other comments? Any objections to the motion? Okay, hearing no objections by unanimous consent, Rich, your action item is ratified. Yes?
I need to abstain. I'm judging.
Same here.
Okay,
Same here.
same here.
Same here.
All right, let's call, I'll call the vote. Okay, so all those in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, so the yes votes are Carol Krasnowski, John Kalila, Rich Maston, Kathy Dunham, Pam Mosier, Cindy Bird, Steve McCullough, George Eichenhauser, Yukiko Hayata-san. Anyone else? Okay, take your hands down. The no votes. Okay, seeing no votes. All those abstaining, raise your hand. Rachel, include me. I don't have a hand to put up.
Kathy's up.
Okay, so the abstentions are Rachel Anger, Pam Delabar, Kenny Curley, Brian Mosier, Melanie Morgan, Sharon Roy, and Daryl Newkirk, and Kathy
Daryl?
Cal.
Yeah,
Yes.
sorry. Okay. You got me. Thank
Yeah,
you.
Kathy Calhoun. Okay, would you please announce the vote once you get it tabulated, Rachel?
Sorry, that was too fast to keep up with. Steve McCullough, what was your vote?
It was a yes.
You're a yes, okay. So I have 9 yes votes, 0 no votes, 8 abstentions.
Okay, thank you. And we have an addendum action item, and that's, Rich, you want to cover that one?
I don't think that was Rich's.
Oh,
What
okay.
is it?
It's rolling over the judges for the 2020 International Show for the next CFA International Show. Okay, whose motion was it then?
It was mine, Pam.
Who, Pam Mosier?
Yes.
Okay, so is there a second?
Carol
Steve will
seconded.
second.
Okay, Carol, I got you. All right, Pam, you're on.
Oh, I think I'm making the motion that the judges that we're going to judge the 2020 International Show be rolled over to the 2022 International Show.
Okay. All right, Rachel Anger.
Yeah, the motion that was in effect now is the exact same thing, only we rolled them over to 2021. And since we're not having a 2021 show, that's what necessitated Pam's motion.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? Is there any objection to the motion? Okay, hearing no objection by unanimous consent, the motion
Daryl,
is
I need to
ratified.
abstain.
We still have
Abstentions.
to abstain.
Oh, God, okay, all right, okay. All those in favor, raise your hand. Okay, those in favor are George Eigenhauser, Pam Mosier, Kathy Dunham, Cindy Bird, Rich Maston, Carol Krasnowski, Steve McCullough, John Kalila, Yukiko Hayata-san. Okay, thank you. If you'll take your hands down. I don't think there will be any no votes, but I'll call. Okay, the abstentions, please raise your hand. Okay, so the abstentions are Daryl Newkirk, Pam Delabar, Sharon Roy, Brian Mosier, Rachel Anger, Kenny Curley, Melanie Morgan, and Kathy Calhoun. I'm assuming you're an abstain, Kathy. Kathy Calhoun. Okay. She didn't
Yes.
vote, so
No, I'm an abstain.
okay, thank you.
Sorry.
All right. All right, if everybody will take their hands down. All right, Rich and Pam, okay. So that takes care of our reports of officers, boards, and standing committees. Let's move on to,
Did you want to call the results of that motion?
oh yeah, that's fine.
It'll be a big surprise.
Yeah, I think so. It'll
Yeah,
be
here
a
we go.
shocker.
There were 9 yes votes, 0 no votes, 8 abstentions.
Thank you so much, Rachel. Thanks for reminding me. So let's move on to business order number 6, virtual cat competition committee. And that must be Iris Sink. Is that correct?
Actually, as board liaison, I'll start, Daryl.
Okay, all right,
Kathy
thank you.
Dunham.
I don't have a name on here, so go ahead, Kathy.
This report for the virtual cat competition committee is submitted just for informational purposes. There was also another document, the VCC 101 document that was presented to the board, but not read into this set of minutes, basically because we just want your feedback on the particular section regarding fees. And if you could just read that document, and if you have any questions or concerns, we would ask that you submit those directly to Iris as chairman of the committee. We are currently finalizing guidelines that we will be presenting in February, and those fees would be part of that guideline document. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Iris, do you have anything to add?
Just that we didn't want to present a 5-page document for review and vote right around the holidays. We wanted to give you time to give it thoughtful consideration, and I welcome any feedback anyone wants to give me. Everything in it is pretty much intended as a recommendation or a suggestion rather than a rule. And it's to give clubs a taste of what they need to consider if they want to put on a BCC.
Okay, thank you. And then you'll be pre-noticing us with that document, I'm assuming, right? Okay, thank you so much. Anything else from the committee?
No, thank you.
Okay, let's go on to business order number 7, the Modernization Steering Committee. Is Leanne Rupee on?
Yes, I just promoted her.
Okay, thank you. Leanne?
Is she there? What happened? There she is.
Yeah, we
She doesn't have any audio. I don't see a little audio icon for Leanne.
Okay.
And I can't do anything on our end to fix that. It's as if her microphone's not working.
Yeah. So Leanne, why don't you try to see why your microphone's not working? And where did you go? I think she signed out, so she may be signing out to sign back in. Let's go on to the Household Pet Advisory Committee. George, did you want to make any opening comments here? And Alan, can you promote Jenny Wickel into the panelist?
Sure.
Jenny, are you in yet? There you are. You need to unmute yourself. All right. George, did you want to make any comments before Jenny? Okay, Jenny, go ahead.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I submitted a committee report and of some of the goings on that we've been doing. We're currently hosting a VCC, which was mentioned in the report before us. And we have a proposal for an action item, which, George, did you want to speak on this? Because I know you had spoke to Monty about this proposal. I know everybody can see the existing wording and the proposed wording. This is for grant of distinction, and you can see the change at the end.
George, are you there? You're on mute. George?
Sorry, my computer froze for some reason.
Okay.
I was trying to wave like a maniac to let you know that I was.
Okay.
It says my internet connection is unstable.
Okay. You want to make some comments on this motion, George?
Yeah, short version. Last time we approved changing grant of distinction for the champion and premiership classes. Household Pet has a little tweaking to the wording that was necessary, so it came back. I sent it to Monty, and Monty suggested doing it this way. The original thought had been to do it as a temporary rule effective only this show season, But since grant of distinction can go over multiple seasons, it's not a temporary rule. It's a permanent change to the number of points you need to earn this show season. So this is the wording that Monty suggested, and I so move.
Okay,
Rachel seconds.
who was the second?
Rachel?
Okay, thank you, Rachel. Pam Delabar, your hand's up.
Just one correction as far as grammar, when you get down and for the 2021 season only, a cat needs only 15. It's probably a typo, but should be correctly be a cat needs only 15 finals, etc.
All right.
Can we just add that in, or we're going to need a formal motion to amend?
Oh, I think it's understood that it needs to be needs.
Okay.
Shelley, do you want us? I think it's understood, but I'll ask Shelley.
You're muted, Shelley.
I think it's understood, but a clarification is always better than not having it so that there's no confusion.
So you want us to make a motion?
I do want you to make a motion.
All right. Okay. All right.
I move we amend need
Any
to
seconds?
needs.
Okay. So George and Kenny, any discussion on this? Any
Yes.
objection? Okay, Rich, go ahead.
I don't have any objections to needs, but I do have.
Okay, well,
another-
let's take needs first, and then I'll
Okay.
come back to you. Okay, if there's no objection to changing need to needs. Okay, hearing no objection by unanimous consent, we'll change need to needs. Okay, Rich, you're up.
Yeah, I just want to ask the committee why they chose 125 points when the board at the last meeting approved 100 points for household pets to earn a regional win. It seems a little odd to me that we're going to give a household pet a regional win for 100 points, but we're requiring 125 points for this season.
I believe because this was pulled from the discussion of the grant of distinction, and the board had different numbers in mind when they did that. I think that's how we wound up at this place. But if you want to make it 100 to be consistent, I have no objection.
Well, that's my recommendation, is to make it.
If that's your motion, I will second it.
Okay, that's my motion.
Okay, so we have an amendment, change 125 points to 100 points. Moved by Rich, seconded by George. Any discussion on that? Any objection, Rachel?
I'd like to hear what Jenny has to say about that.
Okay, Jenny?
I'm fine with that. I think the original discussion was it's usually typically 200 points. And so we were just looking at the other, as George mentioned, the other classes, and we were
Okay.
trying to be consistent. So 100 points is fine.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, are you ready for the question? Any objections? Hearing no objection by unanimous consent, 100 points, 125 points is changed to 100 points. Okay, so we did two amendments here, so let's get back to the main motion. So we need to vote to approve the changes that we've made in the amended main motion. All right. Any debate on that? Any objections to the amended main motion now? Okay, seeing nobody's hands up, by unanimous consent, the amended motion is approved. Thank you very much, Jenny. We appreciate your work. All right, next is,
Leanne is in.
okay,
By the way.
Leanne. Okay, good deal,
I'm
Leanne.
not muted anymore.
Okay, Leanne.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Fantastic. So our core focus is our core business. We've remained focused on registrations. Back in the October or November meeting, we said we would have an update on the EMS code proposition in January. We've looked at a lot of things. We've talked about how we would format an EMS code. Would we have to wait for the genetic committee to finish their work? what system changes would be required, how much it would cost to do changes. Is it a small thing or a big thing? We don't think it's going to be expensive, but we don't have exactly the information that we put together an RFP to present, so we even be able to get an idea of that. So I'd like to propose that we come back to you next month regarding the EMS code business, and hopefully I'll have a bit more information in a report for you next.
Okay. Anything else, Leanne?
Just a couple things. I had mentioned that we would be looking for probably a small bit of funding in 2021. And so it is 2021, finally. And there are two things that I would like to ask the board to consider. First is I would like to request that we try and get a couple of interns from Ohio State to work as summer interns to do development on a couple of our projects over the summer. It would be about a $6,000 to $7,000 budget. We're not looking at paying a lot above minimum wage. Just a small paid internship to do a little bit of app development. Mostly around registrations and being able to do registration by pedigree is the top thing on my list. It is, to me, the most painful part of our registration process. That and not having all of our cats in ECAT are the two real pain points I see in our registration process. I spent a lot of time going through DocuSign as a tool that we could use for registration by pedigree. And a lot of people probably used DocuSign in the past. They know how it works. If you've gotten a mortgage lately, refinanced, everything is done via DocuSign. Very rarely do you have to go in an office to sign official document. The way DocuSign works, within the application itself, you set up your template or your form. The user fills out the form, submits the form with any required attachments, and then you route that form through your business process. I believe that's probably our easiest way to handle registration by pedigree. I've not had discussion with central office about this yet, but I have documented what I believe to be our current registration process. And I can't think of any other tool that will make or that will simplify registration by pedigree near as much as getting a license for DocuSign.
Okay,
And
let Aline has her hand up. She wants to make a comment on this.
So does Kathy.
Just
my hand up.
okay. Just very briefly about the EMS codes, or really any of the discussion we're having. Central office hasn't been part of any of these discussions. I don't think there's anybody that knows our systems better than the central office and the software company that we work with. The EMS codes, we're replacing our BCS codes or supplementing them with EMS is a huge project. We've been using these codes for almost 70 years. They're not perfect. I'm not saying a change may not be needed, but it's a very large project. Those identification numbers, whether it's BCS or EMS, touches every part of our system, scoring, pedigrees, certificates, everything. So this would probably be one of the biggest projects that we would be taking on. I think we really need to study all the areas that this is going to affect. How are we going to implement it? Where are we going to use it? Why are we doing this? Does it make our registrations better? Is it going to bring new people in? There's a lot of discussion that needs to take place before we move in this direction.
Just a little bit. Mostly Pam and I have had discussions back and forth, and it's not right now, we're still in a research phase of this. There's nothing that's happening. We've just been talking about how fields would be formatted and what this look like before we even have enough information to bring it to an IT committee or to the board to look at. It is.
Okay, let Kathy Calhoun speak.
So, yeah, I think this is probably not the place to have this conversation. First of all, if we're talking about establishing a budget for this committee, it needs to come to the budget committee
Yes.
so that we can incorporate that into the annual budget. And I know Leanne probably doesn't know this because she's new to this process. But might I suggest that Leanne and I and Aline try and figure out, how we can fit this into the appropriate process as far as the budget is concerned, and also as far as central office's input is concerned.
And I think I misconstrued this so that everybody doesn't quite understand. The internship for development has nothing to do with the EMS codes. I ran that together and it should have been separate items. EMS
Okay.
code, I was just kind of giving a highlight of, we've been doing some research. We've got a few things documented. We don't have enough to present. And I'm asking that we bring more back in the future.
And we have a report.
End of subject for that. There was I didn't intend for the development request at all to be tied into the EMS code part.
Leanne, the budget process is actually ongoing now for next season. So why don't we talk offline?
Okay.
So do we need a special committee for this EMS potential
Daryl, you have
transition?
a special committee.
I do. Okay, thank you.
If I can speak, my hand's up.
Yep, go ahead.
The special committee that you assigned in whenever we were assigning committees.
Yeah, I remember
now. It was me.
Yes.
And in working with Leanne, this actually needs to be under the Modernization Steering Committee. And with your permission, I could easily come in and work with Leanne on this. And we have been going over different factors. We're nowhere near with EMS going into even coming with Aline and going through hair pulling processes and stuff like that to even come up with a budget or what it would cost CFA to convert to this type of program.
Okay.
That's where it stands.
Okay.
And plus we do know that we can change certain things to fit CFA. It does not have to mirror FIFA, WCF, and the TEC is converting to it. GCCF is converting to it. We can use it to where it is reflective of CFA. So
okay, that's fine.
that's
I think central office is just asking to be included in some discussions of it.
Once we get to the point,
Okay.
I definitely think so.
All right, George Eigenhauser, you're recognized.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned here that we're on an agenda item that's a blank page. There's a lot of information that's trying to be conveyed here. There's a lot of different pieces that have to get there, and it's really hard to follow if we don't have a written report, if we're getting everything extemporized by various people involved in various components of this. When we get to the next item on the agenda, one of the things we might do to streamline things is if there's no written report, what do we have to discuss?
Okay, that's a good point, George.
And that's my fault, George. I apologize. I missed the deadline. I misunderstood the deadline. New to this group, so I will make sure that there is something on the report in the future.
Okay, thank you. So you're going to come back in February with some stuff.
With more detailed information, correct.
Yep, okay. Anything else?
That's it for now.
Good, thank you very much, Leanne, appreciate it. Okay, we're on to item number 9. Pam Mosier, you're recognized.
Okay, I'm under Brian because the cat jumped on my laptop.
Okay.
So that's why it's coming on the other one. Okay. A summary is our every monthly meeting was to take place of the China and coronavirus task force committees, but it has morphed into just another meeting. People are coming to the meeting with reports that could wait until a scheduled every other month meeting or quarterly meeting. The committee chairs are going through their entire reports that have no action items. The board should have read these before the meeting. Are these monthly meetings really necessary? And could the meetings be conducted more efficiently and more respectful of board members' time?
Is that all you have to say?
Well, that's what I have to say. I would like a discussion if anybody else has any.
Okay, all right. Can I comment since I'm the one that sets the meetings by the Constitution? Okay. So my intent when I added January, March, May, July, September, and November was that we would only cover urgent items. That was my intent. Now, it has morphed into regular meetings, Pam, and I agree with you 100%. So what I would like to suggest going forward on these 6 months that I just read into the record, that only things that are very urgent in nature be brought to the table. No committee reports should be brought at those 6 meetings. They should be at the 6 meetings that we regularly have scheduled. So you're right. We spend hours on here, and it, a lot of it eats up unnecessary time. Okay, so I'm willing to direct Rachel whenever she sends out the meeting notices that on January, March, May, July, September, and November, that we, if there's an urgent committee report, that's a different. But we need to meet once a month or have the pre-notice once a month in case something urgent comes up because if we don't get unanimous consent on an email vote, then it has to go to a regular board meeting. Now, tonight we've had a lot of unanimous consent motions passed, okay? But if it's complicated, there's always somebody that's going to vote no. And if you want to cancel these, well, I'm not willing to cancel them, okay? But I am willing to say that we can limit the scope of what gets covered at the meeting. That will help. Does that satisfy you at all?
Well, I mean, the issue is that, again, where are we at right now? We're at, what, almost 2 hours. And these meetings, we're just going over regular stuff. I mean, there's nothing urgent. There is nothing urgent here that couldn't be every other month, or that could be at our long meetings like in February, June, where we're there all day long.
Did you understand when I said that I am willing to ask Rachel?
Yes, I did. I did understand. I'm just
Okay.
hoping that's what it will actually be.
That's what I will ask Rachel to do on those 6 months, January, March, May, July, September, and November, that only emergency stuff or urgent issues that cannot wait to one of the 6 regularly scheduled meetings.
Daryl, this is Kathy.
Yes, go ahead, Kathy.
Could you also add to that comment that those items that are discussed require a board vote? We shouldn't have, and I think that with some of the help would help in determining what is urgent and what is not urgent, because we shouldn't have anything that's just a discussion. If it doesn't require a vote, it's not urgent.
Okay, Rachel, you're recognized. You're muted.
Sorry, I was trying to look up something to confirm it. This has already been asked and answered. I think as soon as I look up what I was looking up in that nice table of all the meetings and the timelines and everything, it specifically states the meetings that are supposed to be for emergency only.
Okay. Okay. So do you want to be the bad guy, or do you want me to be the bad guy when somebody asks for something to be brought up at a meeting?
You can be the bad guy.
Okay, that's fine. I'm happy to do it. Okay, so does that help, Pam?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay, and hopefully, you know, if it'll be maybe that if it was an online motion that didn't get unanimous consent, that can be debated and voted on. I can't promise you there won't be something urgent come up about China or something that comes up about COVID-19. Those two things I think are priority stuff that we may have to discuss. It may be able to be delayed. But if it can't be delayed and we need to talk about it and need to vote on something, then it'll have to be brought up. But we can right off the bat eliminate committee reports, okay? Unless there's an urgent need and the person's going to have to justify what the urgent need is, or I will say, no, you can wait until, in this case, February. Melanie, you're recognized.
Thank you. I apologize in advance if the audio goes in and out. I seem to be getting every third word tonight. But I thank you, Pam, for bringing this up. I think it's become an ongoing issue that's kind of escalated, and I'll be really happy if Daryl, what you're presenting actually, you know, works. I'm wondering if in the past, I know that there were cutoff dates or times on meetings. So, I mean, on these extra meetings, I don't see any reason that we shouldn't be able to handle urgent information in an hour or 2 hours. We certainly shouldn't be looking at 4 and 5. Might we consider, you know, some sort of time frame?
Okay, I didn't understand a word you said.
Yeah, I was afraid of that. My connection's really bad. Never mind. It's okay. All good. I'm just trying to say that I agree with where we're going on this.
I think I got it, Daryl. I think what Melanie is saying that we should have a time limit for 1 or 2 hours on these.
Well, that's, I mean, we won't even have an hour if we abide by, you know, just having emergency stuff on these six meetings.
Yep.
I can't tell you that on the other 6 meetings.
No.
Okay. Rich Maston, you had your hand up.
I was just going to explain what Melanie was trying to say.
Okay.
Kathy did
All
it.
right. Okay. All right. Good deal. Yeah. This is sort of the downside of having Zoom meetings is everything doesn't always go according to Hoyle, as they say in the card world. All right, Pam, anything else? Are you okay?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So Rachel, when you make the notice for these 6 months, that you'll make a notice in there that it has to be an urgent or emergency to be brought up. And if there's a question, the president will make a ruling.
Can we actually put the word action item in there? Because I think they'll understand what that means.
Okay.
I mean, they may.
Okay. How about urgent action item? Does that meet everybody's approval?
Yes.
All right. Any objection to that? Okay. So Rachel, there's no objection. So it has to be an urgent action item on these 6 months that I read off. Thank you, Pam, for bringing that up. All
Daryl,
right. Yes.
the other Pam, I will
Yep.
make this part of the guidebook.
Okay. Thank you so much. How's that coming along, by the way?
I'm done with my part. I'm waiting on the Robert's Rules of Order and the legal aspects from the other
Okay.
2 members.
Okay, good deal. Thank you very much. Okay, let's move on to unfinished business and general orders. Is there any unfinished business that needs to be brought up? Okay. No hands up. Let's go on to order number 11, other committees. Any other committee reports? No.
What
Okay,
was the add-on from the judging program open or closed session?
it's open. Okay, and that's under new business, which is this one. And let's see, is this Vicky Nye? Is this hers?
Yes.
Okay. So can you bring Vicky in? This is a policy that the judging program committee would like to for the board to approve so it could be sent out to the judges. We've had a lot of reports of judges coming back with their mask around their chin the whole time while they're judging. So this is a policy that they would like for the board to approve.
Thank
Vicki?
you. Yes, I did send out, please be a leader, wear your mask, follow the protocol, and social distancing to the judges' email list about the week before Cotton States. We've had 2 shows in the United States, region 1 through 7. We still have problems, not just with exhibitors not social distancing, but judges not wearing masks or doing their final with their mask off because people couldn't hear them, or judges not wearing masks because they can't breathe. And when we had a judging program committee meeting, Rachel was involved also, and she was kind enough to write up the language for this, which I really appreciated. I think it came from a different point of view to please be safe, and if you find you have to cancel, it follows the regular show rule 1103 policies. We're not encouraging or discouraging judges from judging or canceling shows, but we want to reinforce and have the board bless this language to send out again before we have the next show, which is 2 weeks. No,
This
it's next
weekend.
week. Excuse me.
This coming weekend.
Time flies.
Yep. Okay, Rachel?
And also, Rich
sorry.
had some input, excuse me, on the second paragraph, right before the end of the parenthesis, Rich made a suggestion to add in personal health, and I wholeheartedly agree with that. So it would then read pandemic, social unrest, mask requirement, family situation, personal health, etc.
Okay. So let's have a motion to approve this so we can debate it.
Rachel moves that we accept this statement to send out to judges that will be judging upcoming shows.
As
Rachel
amended, right?
second.
Okay, hang on, and let's, since we haven't stated the motion, we can insert that clause that Vicki just read without having to do an amendment, okay? Everybody on board? Okay, all right, so who was the second?
Rich second.
Okay, thank you, Rich. All right, so it's open for debate now to approve this with the insertion after family situation. Rachel, go ahead.
Thank you. The point in this, I hope everybody gets it, is that judges should not feel they have a duty or an obligation to travel to and attend a show if they have any discomfort about doing that. Part of the deal is that they have to comply with the local and federal laws, which include mask wearing. And the show rule 1103 reference, that's the rule that says if you get sick or injured and can't complete your assignment, then here is what happens. So, then someone else has to step in and handle the cats for you. So it would be a problem if a judge was not wearing a mask and local authorities came in and shut the show down. And we certainly don't want that to happen. So this is just clarifying that if a judge feels they can't comply with that, they have an obligation to CFA, to the club, and especially themselves, not to judge that show.
Thank you, Rachel. That's a good point. Rich?
Yeah, I want to thank Vicki and Rachel and the team that worked on this and for taking this seriously. This is a serious situation, and there's many people that attend shows that look up to the judges, and they will follow what the judges do. It's almost like a parent or a coach. And if a judge feels as though he or she can attend a show and not wear a mask because they believe they can not follow that rule, well, then I think you have others within the show hall that are going to do the same thing. So Thank you to Vicky, Rachel, the entire team, and thank you for all the judges for following this rule. It's important, and we need to approve this.
Okay. Vicky, go ahead. You got your hand up. Kenny Carley, he's recognized.
Yeah, I don't mean to sound flippant, but doesn't this also violate the show rule where we dictate judges' attire?
Well,
You
if you
mean
consider
judges wearing-
if you consider a mask a piece, a clothing item, then I guess so. But this is a state. These are local and state mandated procedures that we're required to follow. And a judge just can't say, "Well, I can't breathe with the mask on." Well, if you can't breathe with the mask on, then you shouldn't be judging the shows until
I
we don't
I
have.
understand, but
That's-
in Georgia, we did have a judge that has a problem who did take her mask off at the Cotton State show. I personally keep it on the whole time just for the reason
Me too.
we're discussing. So, again, you know, I'm going to support this for sure. So I appreciate Vicky and everyone who's worked on this. So I was just wondering.
Okay, thank you, Rich. You're
Yeah,
recognized.
I think, I don't know if Kenny was very serious about it.
No, I wasn't.
Yeah, okay. And I know he understands what local and state laws require, but getting to the point that Kenny brought up where in Georgia, where they had a judge who couldn't breathe and had to take their mask off, I think all the fellow judges in the show management should handle that in a certain situation where they can take that judge out of a possibly stressful situation, put them in an environment where they can take their mask off for a while to catch their breath and what have you, or address whatever medical issue they have. But if a judge knows that he or she cannot wear a mask for whatever period of time that's required, then he or she should not accept an assignment.
Okay, Melanie.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I want to commend you all for putting this together and thinking forward. I think that the comment that was made earlier is really important. The judges should act as role models for the rest of the people who are attending that show. And if we don't comply, then I don't see how we can certainly expect the exhibitors to. So there are many situations where it may not even completely be mandated in that area, yet right now we all know that in a general sense it's the right thing to do. So I think that this judge mask statement is incredibly important and that we should be enforcing adherence to it.
Okay, thank you, Melanie. I think I saw a report the other day that N95 offers the most protection, surgical mask second, and then the cloth bandana type, which are the easiest to breathe through, but provide the least amount of protection for you. So at a minimum, they should be wearing a cloth bandana type if they can't wear a surgical mask, or if an N95 mask prevents them from breathing efficiently. So I think there's a alternate way that they can comply and still wear a mask. But anyway, thanks guys. This is great work. I appreciate it. So, all right, Melanie, your hand's still up.
Gerald, can I ask a question? This is
Sure
Kathy.
can. Yep, go ahead.
What about a shield? How does that measure up in effectiveness?
Well, the shield does, even in the airports, if you have a shield on, you're supposed to have a mask on. So, and the airlines won't let you get on without a mask. Even if you have a shield on, you still have to have a mask on.
Okay, thank you.
So I think that would probably, there of course there's going to be some state, because this is all state instituted rules and stuff. So there's probably some state that says if you got a shield on, it's okay. So, okay, any more debate? No, okay. So is there any objection to the Judge Mass statement being approved? Okay, I don't see anybody raising their hands. Without objection, this policy is adopted. And Vicky, you'll be notifying the judges.
Yes, I'll send it out to the CFA judges list probably tomorrow.
Okay, good deal. Rachel Anger, you're recognized.
Yeah, I have another item if we're ready to move on to that.
Yep.
Okay, this is about the Japan Regional Show. I'm not going to go through the whole history of this because this poor region has had so many changes to their judging lineup. But at this point, they have had every possible imaginable judge cancel. And they're left with no one except Hayata. And she's currently serving as the show manager. We had a motion earlier to replace her on the judging lineup, and then another CFA judge stepped forward. So that took that off the table, but now it's back into play because we've had another cancellation. The reason this is coming to the board for quick resolution is that she will be jumping from show manager to a judge on the panel. She has resigned as the show manager. Other than her own entries, which have been pulled from the show, she has no information on entries or exhibitors. And even though the central office could make this change because of her role as a former show manager, we're coming to the board for approval to substitute Yukiko Hayata in place of the last judge that canceled, which was whoever it was.
I think it was
Okay.
Hayoko.
Just you can't keep track
Hayoko.
of it.
Yeah,
Koizumi.
Koizumi-san.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's right.
All right, so Rachel's made a motion. Is there a second?
Any seconds?
Okay, thank you, Kenny. Is there any discussion on this? This is pretty straightforward.
Just to clarify, this is the Japan Regional Benefits Show to be held in Tokyo, Japan on January 16th, 2021.
Okay. Thank you, Rachel. Anyone else have anything to debate on this motion? Okay, so is there any objection to Hayata-san stepping in and replacing Koizumi-san? All right, hearing no objection by unanimous, well, we have to call the vote because Hayata has to abstain. So all those in favor, please raise your hand.
My hand's up.
Okay,
Pam's raising her hand too.
okay. So we got Pam and Brian both as yeses. Okay, so the yes votes, Anger, Krasnowski, Bird, Maston, Delabar, Dunham, Brian Mosier, Melanie Morgan, Sharon Roy, John Kalila, George Eigenhauser, Steve McCullough, Kenny Curley, Kathy Calhoun. Are you a yes?
I'm a yes.
Okay. Are there any no votes? I think I called everybody. And Hayata, you'll abstain?
Yes.
Okay. Hayata abstains. Thank you, Rachel. Is there anything else? I think that was our last order of business.
Yeah,
Carol, I
Yes.
have something.
Okay.
Okay, it's just I have a point of concern. Okay, people on Facebook have been discussing the show on 123 in Virginia, and that it was stated that the show was booked as a retail event. My concern is this is becoming an ongoing tactic with a number of clubs to misrepresent what they are doing, putting on a cat show, to something that the venue will accept to get around the COVID restrictions. And while I thought we had put out guidelines that clubs need to follow the local and state's guidelines for COVID, there are instances that these clubs have no social distancing nor requiring exhibitors to wear their masks. Two concerns. I think this really is setting up the cat fancy for some COVID outbreaks. And we're allowing clubs to game the system. I just wanted to bring that up.
Okay, Kenny, Carly?
Yes. What show are you talking about, Pam?
The Roanoke Show.
Roanoke, yes.
Okay. No, they're following the rules.
Well, I'm just saying, I know that it's been discussed on Facebook that they're saying that they have said that it is a retail event. That's all I'm going by. I know that that could not be the case, but I'm saying that this isn't just a case for them. This is the case for other clubs too. They are gaming the system also. It's a, you know, if you can't have social gatherings like for a cat show, then they'll just find something. I mean, I've seen this done in a number of different venues.
Okay, Melanie?
No, I understand what Pam's saying. I mean, I don't see how in any way we could qualify a show that has no spectators and probably no vendors as a retail event. So it's a valid concern. You know, we're telling exhibitors that they need to sign a waiver to go in to a show hall or a show event because the clubs are agreeing to adhere to local regulations. Currently, the situation in Virginia is social gatherings of no more than 10 people for a social gathering, if that's what this is. If it's a retail event, I think there are vastly different requirements. But I too can question how something can be a retail event when it has no sales and it has no spectators that are requiring, you know, are giving sales. So it's a good question.
Okay, Pam Delabar?
We have some different nomenclature over here. In our last 3 shows that we had in October and November were classified as sporting competitions, which when you think about it, yes, we
That's
are.
what we are.
Yeah, sporting competitions. That way we were allowed to have the larger number of people within the building. Of course, I must say that after the last show, we went a couple of days after the last show, we went into even the sporting competitions could no longer happen, except for hockey. Hockey somehow gets by with everything, but that was it.
All right, Kenny, your hand's up.
Yeah, again, I'd like to reiterate this, as Pam said, this is on the internet. And I believe Mr. Eichenhauser has said on many occasions, you don't really want to follow what's on the internet. I've been in contact with the club and the venue is legal. The venue is perfectly what it should be. And anything that you read on the internet, I can disprove at this point. So this club is going to have a legal CFA show unless something else happens between now and that date.
Thank you, Kenny. Hayata-san,
Yes,
your hand's up.
hands up. Yes, yes, I've been trying very hard, you know, as a show manager for Japan region show, and we will have to be very careful to reduce, you know, some number of visitors, and then we are wearing a mask and face shields.
Okay.
And then so we will be okay, I think, you know. I mean, with the alcohol, you know, sterilized and everything, you know, has a temperature, you know. So, and then, so I believe, you know, my show in Japan region show will be very safe and you know, wearing masks.
Good.
know,
We wish you all the luck in the world, okay?
Yes. Thank you very much.
Melanie, your hand's up.
Yeah, I don't doubt that the Roanoke show will be a legal show, but I think going back to what Pam is saying, it's I think that the clubs are kind of out here trying to figure this out on their own. And as a board, it seems to me the CFA should provide some guidance to them on this in terms of what we, you know, what we classify ourselves as rather than letting these guys go out here and come up with things that may or may not make sense. I mean, I think that what Pam D basically mentioned is, I mean, we are kind of another sporting event, et cetera. But we should be doing this the right way, not just kind of, making, the pegs fit into the square holes, whether they're round or not. And right now, the clubs are kind of swinging out there on their own. I certainly don't see how a show can be a retail event. So I don't think that's the fault of the club. I think it's because we're not stepping up and giving them the support that they need to be able to succeed. So I think it's a valid point Cam brings up, and it's something that we should address.
Okay, well, Kenny said that they're compliant with the law, and the people on the internet are saying they aren't. So it's one person yes, one person no. So I'm not sure what the board can do to step in. Okay, any other discussion? Kenny, your hand's still up. You're muted. Kenny, you're muted.
Melanie, can you mute so that we can hear Kenny?
Yeah, if you're not speaking, everybody, please mute yourself.
Hello? Says that I'm, hold on. It says that I'm not muted.
Okay, we can barely hear you.
Okay,
You're on, but you're very quiet.
well, that's unusual.
Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Is it better?
Yeah. Go ahead, Kenny,
Yeah.
so we can get to the closed session.
All right, that's fine. Let me just say that this Roanoke Club worked very hard, doing it legally, and let's just leave it at that and leave this club alone. Thank you.
Okay. Any other new business?
Yes, Daryl, it's Vicky, and please let me know, you and Rachel, if this is out of order. But while we've been in the board meeting, I've been notified by a club in Japan that's having the show the week after the regional show. So it's the 23rd and 24th. They've had 2 additional judge cancellations, and they need to change their format. So I didn't know if Rachel wanted to handle this by email or if you want to handle this at the board meeting. They started out as a 6x6, then they went to a 5x5, and now they're down to a 4x4 show.
I think in order so we can get this meeting over with, the executive committee can handle that.
Okay.
right.
I think Rachel's got a copy of the email.
Okay. All right. Okay. Rachel, we can take care of that tomorrow. Okay.
Look forward to it.
Okay. Thank you, Rachel. All right. Any other new business? Okay. Hearing no new business to be brought up. Let's see, what time is it? It is 7:09, my time, 10:09 your time. So the meeting stands adjourned, and we will reconvene in, let's say, in 10
5
minutes.
minutes.
10
minutes. Yay.
Yeah, 10 minutes. So everybody can have a potty break, and then we'll get back into the closed session. Thanks, everybody. Thanks all the participants that signed in tonight to listen to the board meeting. We appreciate all your support.
Thank you.
Thanks
Night,
a lot,
everyone.
everybody.